Haribol. Welcome, welcome to our final day of this Kartik Parikrama. And we're into the final verse of our Damodarastakam. And today is another exceptionally sacred day with the Tirobhava of Srila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj. In 1999, he left this world. He took his birth in 1898, so 101 years old. I can remember hearing the news at Rup Sanatan, and we were all just like shocked. Shocked, but you know, it was a big event. He was an incredible personality. So we'll offer some Pushpanjali for Srila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj today, and then we'll continue and complete our Damodarastakam reading. And tomorrow, I'm relocating from here, so there won't be any live stream tomorrow. Actually, Kartik finishes officially tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day that we break our vrats. We can have tomatoes, honey, eggplant if you like, all these things, and shave. That's what I like the most. And so tomorrow is that day, and everyone's busily engaged in usually kitchen savor and serving many thousands of devotees in our different temples. So we won't have a program tomorrow. I don't know exactly when the next program will be, live streamed. I can perhaps mention something at the end of the class tonight about that, and we'll see. Okay, so we'll just have our Damodarastakam. Namamishvaram Satchitananda-rupam Lasakundaram Gokulegrajamanam Yashodam Yukavakavam Rudantamu
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Nikai Gaura Hari Bo, Nikai Gaura Hari Bo, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Jaya Nityananda, Oh Jaya Sachi Nandam, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandam, Jaya Gaura, Jaya Sachi Nandam, Jaya Gaura Hari, Oh Jaya Radha, Damodara Radha, Damodara Radha, Jaya Radha, Damodara Radha, Damodara Radha, Jaya Radha, Govinda Radha, Govinda Radha, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhabaka Giridhari Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai Jai Radha Damodar Ju Ki Jai Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Ki Jai Jai Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhadadasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Arupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Jai Swarab Damodar Rai Ramananda Gaura Parsada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sigahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautramdvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritudvip Janudvip Motandvip Rududvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Badravan Bandiravan Belvan Lohavan Mahavan Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Brindavan, Kadiavan, Kamyavan, Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopiko Govardhan Dwada Sabar Madmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ganga Jamuni Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Punamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai, Ketra Mandal Ki Jai, Sarva Vigna Vanasakari Shinashingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Charidam Ki Jai, Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Charya Ki Jai, Akara Matraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai, Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Aginati Mirandasya Dhyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunaivar no Kala, Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundaratu Tika Kamba Sadipita, Sadahridare Kandare Spadatu Vasachinandanaha, Yam Pravajantam Anapetyam Apeti Krityam, Dvaipaino viraha katara ajuhava putreti tam mayatayo tarabo binidus tam sarvabhutam hridim munimanatoshmi bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay shiptascha karmadi tarangamadye kripamai tvam sharanam prapana brinde namaste charanarvindam bhajami radham aravinda netram smarami radham madhurashmitasyam Vadami radham karuna bharatram tatoma manasti katyana kapi tavaivasmi najivami tavaivina iti vignaya radhe tvam nayamam charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandava pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadastara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tarastara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavim. So, last day of our Kartik Parikrama, and with a wonderful infusion of meditation on the divine glories of Srila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj. We started with an infusion of sweetness about Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj at the beginning of Sarat Purnima. So we've completed our whole month, and now we're concluding, celebrating such a luminary personality as Srila Pramoda Puri. He was a luminary because principally his humility was exceptional. He came to the mutt in 1922. He took his birth 1898. Came to the mutt in 1922, so he's 24 years old. He'd completed all his studies and came to the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati in 1922. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada came in 1921, a year before, but he didn't remain in the ashram in a sense. But Srila Pramoda Puri Maharaj did. His name was Sri Pranavananda Brahmachari. He was born. This was the name he was given at Diksha and Harinam. He received on Janmastami Day in 1922. And practically from the very beginning, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati could see he was an educated young man and requested him to help him with his Dainya Nadia Prakash, his daily publication, daily. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was so ambitious. Can you imagine the ambition it needs to actually decide to print a daily newspaper? Someone of the caliber of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, it's not just he's just going to do it for a week or two. He's going to inspire it for his lifetime. That's pretty mighty.
If you know anything about publishing, etc., it requires quite a bit of concentration and effort to actually do like that. So he requested that Srila Bhakti Pramoda, that Pranab Brahmachari at that time, would take up the editorship, become the editor of that daily publication. And Pranavananda Brahmachari, in his humility, he said, well, what work does that require? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told him, Krishna will reveal in your heart exactly what you have to do. So Srila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj, he was satisfied with that. He understood. He was on that level. He wasn't like pushing for details, etc., you know. He was on that level of intelligence, smartness. And he began that seva in practically 1922, and he was still doing the seva in 1999. You know, that's like practically more than 75 years. He didn't shift from his principal focus of editing. And he did so many other editorial publications at the same time. We see him always, he's always bent. He's bent over because he's writing all the time. And also he's doing his puja. He was exemplary in these two activities of Vaishnava activities. And his puja he did diligently to Radha Gopinath for all those years. And when the Gaudiya Math split apart and fractured, he, of course, being a very, very, by nature, humble soul, his nature was just like that. And no flamboyance whatsoever. And he retired to Kalna on the bank of the Ganga and worshipped his Radha Gopinath with one associate, Ananda Leelamai Prabhu. Together they would do this seva. And there's an amazing pastime, an anecdote. I'll just tell one. There are many, 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 many. But I'll just tell one. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj was called to go and assist in a big mahotsav. I think it was maybe Narottam Das Thakur's appearance day or disappearance day, perhaps. I can't remember actually the detail of that. But he came to the Math and there was no preparation at all for the festival to take place. No preparation, no foodstuffs had been brought, nothing. And Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj was very competent, capable type of a person, and he had been used to putting on festivals and so on, so he was curious, why are there no preparations going on? And so he asked Srila Pramoda Puri Maharaj. Srila Pramoda Puri Maharaj said, oh, Krishna will arrange. So, okay, but what else is happening? So Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj was still concerned. Then the next morning, still nothing had been arranged. And so Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj again requested Srila Pramoda Puri Maharaj, what can we do? How can we prepare for this? I mean, you've sent out invitations to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of devotees. You know, what are you going to feed them, etc., etc. There's no preparations, nothing's going on. So he went to Srila Pramoda Puri Maharaj and said, can I at least have some pots and I'll begin boiling some water? So then Srila Pramoda Puri Maharaj, he pointed to a particular little house and said, if you go there, he's got a load of pots and everything and you can get from him. So Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj went there and woke the man up. The man was still sleeping. And he got a whole stack of pots, and then they had to wash all the pots and everything. Then he filled them with water, put them on all the stoves. And then he was just waiting for Krishna's arrangement. And then one person came in with a little bag of 1 kilo rice. Another person came with a little bit of dal. And then in the next 2 or 3 or 4 hours, they were just coming in like a trail of ants, practically, bringing in all this boga. Enough to last that little mat in the end for about a month. They had piles and piles of boga. So Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj began cooking everything for that whole festival. But he always comments, and why he remembers this pastime, is the absolute niche Bhakti Pramoda Puri Maharaj had in the Lord for his arrangements. He depended on the Lord. he was worshipping Radha Gopinath all the time. And he just knew that Radha Gopinath were going to support his effort to have a festival. And his whole life was like that, absolutely fearless of the material energy, not thinking he was the controller for a second. He wrote one very, very beautiful book. I remember when it came out. I think it was published in perhaps 1996. It was called The Heart of Krishna. Maybe some of you have seen it in the Western world. We have it on our website. I think we can find it and post it. And it's a really beautiful book, all about humility, quotes about humility all the way through, beautifully illustrated. But I can remember so many devotees their hearts were melting when this book, it was like a reflection of the heart of Srila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj. It was very, very beautiful. So there are many, many pastimes and anecdotes about this great personality's life. And he just dedicated every... It's this thread that we've spoken about constantly in connection with all the other personalities who have appeared and disappeared during this Kartik month, this remarkable Guru Nishta that they all exemplify. This Guru Nishta is the backbone. It's the fire that carries the current of bhakti from the heart of that personality into the world. This Guru Nishta, knowing conclusively the origin of my bhakti is in the heart of my Guru. So Srila Pramoda Puri Maharaj exemplified this mood and gave these beautiful truths to the world consistently. At one point, he took his sannyas, what was it, 1947, by Bhakti Gaurav Vaikanas Maharaj. The other devotees encouraged him to take sannyas. He wasn't going to take sannyas, but he was encouraged. And then he set up his mutt, his own mutt, in the end, because that was the way the dynamic was moving, that these luminaries had that potency for themselves to have their own mutts, their own teaching. So I always feel, and I've shared with you before, that it was a good thing that all those devotees split apart. Just like in our Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami's Sangha also has come apart. And all these individual luminaries will have their own mutts with their own unique vision of what is bhakti to distribute. So I think this is very wonderful. When you cross over the Mayapur Ghat, you go so many different mutts, unique, special, Vaishishthya. This is what we've stressed yesterday. It's the specialities within these personalities. There's no sectarianism. If this respect is not given to each mutt, then that becomes like, my mutt is the best mutt. Of course, in our heart, we're there because we feel it's the best, but to be proclaiming it in a sectarian way is the greatest enemy of truth, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said. So this sectarian mood was so far away from Bhakti Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj. He would travel to all his god brothers' mutts and support them in every single way. And he was so much dearly loved by all the Vaishnavas. That's why a huge cry arose, I can remember, in 1999 in Vrindavan on his departure. It was like the whole of Vrindavan wailed. There was like a cry going into the ether at the departure of this great personality. Because he was 101 years old when he left. Not an enemy in the world. Only friendships and servant. He'd been serving his entire life, dedicated to that one particular editorial seva. Tremendous, tremendous example for the Vaishnavas to remember and follow and beg for his kripa today. So today we're begging for his blessings, his kripa. I've explained many times how on these sacred days, every day, the Vaishnavas are there. He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. The Vaishnavas are always there. But on their day of their tithis, their disappearance or appearance days, a special window opens and mercy can be attained if we remember them. And we send our prayers of gratitude for their immense seva in this conditioned realm. So today we're praying deeply for the mercy of Srila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj, that he can benedict us in our swift progress in our bhakti to the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. Srila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Go Pranandi. So now I really want to complete this today. Well, I'm going to complete it, whether we sit here for an extra hour or not. But we haven't got much more left to read. So we've been pacing ourselves through this Damodarastakam, and each evening I've thrown out a sort of thread just so we can get hooked in. The first verse is the Mangalacharyan. Namam Ishwaram Satchit Anandarupam. He's laying the foundation of who is our Ishtadev, where are we serving to? That's in the first line. And then we run straight into the Leela and the extraordinary aspect of the Leela where Krishna is caught from behind by his mother. And we've been commenting how important it is for the devotee to understand that he has to run faster than Krishna to catch him. His love has to be more enthusiastic than even Krishna's is. So this is like in the first verse, and straight into the Leela. His kundala are swinging on his cheeks, etc., kissing his cheeks. So we go from the Aishwarya presentation straight into the Leela. And this is more crying for a mood in Dasya Ras. So it's an escalation of all the different rasas coming through the 8 verses. There's a thread, there's a very consistent, structured thread in this Astakam. And it's very peaceful on the consciousness to appreciate it, how it's scrolling through. So in the second verse, we call it Mantra Mai Upasana, where the single pastime is being described. Rudantam Muhur Netra Yugram Mijantam. He's rubbing his eyes again and again. We just naturally think of a little child when we think of rubbing the eyes again and again. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of a small baby. And he really is a baby. It's not like he's acting. He really is fearful. He wants to taste this Vatsalya Bhav of his mother Yashoda. Hungrily he wants to taste that. So we hear the Leela there being described. And then in the third verse, Iti Driksva Lilabhya Ananda Kunde. This is like a rush, a tumbling flow, constant flow of Leelas in this Ananda Kunde. The Kund is flowing over with Ananda, blissful pastimes and Leelas. So this becomes very sweet and special. We're entering into Vrindavan here. This Astakam will bring us into Vrindavan. This is why we chant this Astakam daily in this month of Kartik in particular. It brings us right into the heart of Vrindavan. So then in the fourth verse, we've said before, I'm going very briefly here, but the fourth verse is Varam Deva Moksham. He's saying to Krishna, I don't want moksha even. I don't want Vaikuntha Prem. I don't want even Navada Bhakti. Krishna's astonished. What do you want then? I just want to see your form of Balagopal resplendent in my heart forever. And then the next verse escalates again. He doesn't just want to see the form, he wants to see directly the beautiful face of the Lord in his heart. And then the next verse escalates even more. This is the dynamic of the bhajan. It's like a current. When you pick it up, the current, you can swim with that dynamic, enthusiastic current. Because that's the ingredient, this lobha, this greed, that is going to cross over the boundaries from this material conditioned world. We are so encased in our material conceptions of what is the reality of life. We're so much convinced, yes, my body, my situation, my family, this is life, isn't it? Everyone is thinking this is life. But this is conditioned life. This is temporary material life. It's going to end. Yesterday, my dear friend was cremated out the back here. Old sannyasi from many years in Vrindavan. It's like life and death, life and death, life and death, all the time. People are coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. So, but we never think it's going to happen to us. That's the extraordinary, covering of the illusory energy. But if we can get that presence of realizing the temporary nature of this existence, well then what is the permanent nature? Who am I, spirit soul? And what is my eternal occupation? Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nitya Das, only one occupation. And it's all by nature. It's our origin to serve the Lord. So then, Satyabhama Muni, by the time he comes to the 5th verse, sorry, the 6th, no, wait a minute, the 5th verse, yes, I've described that already. So in the 6th verse, he makes a resolution that he wants to see Krishna directly. He wants Sakshat Darshan, not just in the heart. He's not satisfied with that now. And how to do that? Sankirtan. Sankirtan is the traditional method to endear the Lord, to fulfill our cherished most desires. And we give the example always of the gopis when they're singing their Jayati Te Kam Janmana Braja Shrayata Indira Shashvadatri. They sing their Gopi Geet. They attract Krishna through their Gopi Geet. So this is the first Sankirtan. Then Mahaprabhu, he inaugurated this Sankirtan on the whole planet. We're all spreading this holy name. This is our mission, to actually spread. Why? To attract Krishna. Krishna becomes attracted. Shri Krishna Akashani Chasa. He becomes attracted when he hears the sound of his holy. So Damodara Deva, this 6th verse. Deva Ananta Vishnu. All these names of Krishna are being called out heartfelt by Satyabhama Muni. And then we came to the 7th verse, and it's as if Satyabhama Muni is saying, well, if you gave Braja Prem, which he does, to those fallen sons of Kuvera. Kuvera is the richest person, he's the treasurer of the demigods. If you could give them Braj Prem, why not me? Why not me? He's saying, why are you holding back this? So he's making this example. He's making a case for himself. If you can give it to them, then surely you can give it to me. So then again we come into the Leela. And remember the etymology of Leela? Who remembers from what we were doing? Li means to embrace. Allah. Come on. Oh, Sanskrit scholar. We just did it. Li.
Gopis embrace. To accept the gopis embrace.
Accept the embrace. Leela. Well done. That tutor's really smart. Leela. Accept the embrace. Embrace. That's what it means. Accepting the embrace of Krishna. Accepts the embrace. And in this 7th verse, Srila Bhakti Pramoda Keshav Maharaj says actually this whole Leela is focusing on the Rasa Leela. This is where it's taking us to. We've come from like Dasya Ras, Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras. Now we've come in this 8th verse to Madhurya Ras. So it's extraordinary. It's really, really extraordinary how this escalation of bhavs increases throughout every verse in this Astakam. So to hear it every single year, for years and years and years and years, then after some time, the impressions will become very thick in the consciousness of this Astakam. And when we sing it, we can hear the Sanskrit direction of where it's carrying us. So we can catch into the sound vibration and the principal language and be so enriched by that. This is an eternal Astakam. It's an eternal Astakam because it's always going on in one Brahmand or another. There's never a time when the Damodar pastime is not being performed. There are unlimited billions of universes. Unlimited billions emanating from the pores of the skin of Mahavishnu. So in every universe, this Damodarastakam is taking place. Therefore, it's eternal. It's aprakat and it's prakat simultaneously. This is what can get bewildering for people, because it's both at the same time. There's the uppercut Asta Kalya Lila that is going on constantly in Goloka Vrindavan. Simultaneously, there are Leelas that are uppercut as well as prakat. It's not just naimitic, not just temporary Leelas. Because many Leelas we often hear like Kamsa, Putana, the demons, these are temporary Leelas. But actually Damodarastakam is uppercut and prakat Leela. It's both. It's very special. So, today we've come to the last part of the commentary by Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. So the Dig Darshani Vritti. And we heard yesterday how Srila Bhakti Pramoda Keshav Maharaj, he's saying that Satyabhat Muni stops his bhajan either because of an awareness of the confidentiality of the subject matter, that it's not to be broadcast in every street corner. There's some confidentiality that has to be held, which will create respect for the subject matter. If it's just broadcast loosely, without proper tattva and siddhanta, what will be the consequence? It's called sahajism. People won't follow correctly. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave his life to make this impression very deeply. At the same time, if it's ignored, then that's disaster, that's tragic. Therefore, my Gurudev, he opened it out to the world because he knew that these truths are going to be lost unless we actually speak about them, unless you bring them out, and there will be some casualties. Yes, because it'll be too confidential for some people, and they will misunderstand, misrepresent, try to be too naturally spontaneous or something like that, not holding strictly to the Guru Varg's direction and instruction. So we have to have the prohibitions. Actually, the decision to come firmly into Rag Marg is made by the individual practitioner when he has that greed sufficiently to ignore the prohibitions. He accepts the prohibitions, understands their purpose, their nature to restrict unqualified people coming into this realm. At the same time, in his heart, he is so greedy that he doesn't listen to that anymore. My Gurudev used to give the example like a dog coming to the tea stand. He wants to have a sweet. He'll sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there. He won't go until he actually gets that sweet. We've seen it, huh? The dogs, they're just sitting there waiting for a biscuit, something. That's greed. Even if he has to sit all day, he's still waiting. So when that greed arises, the greed is the current, it's the quality of Rag Marg. Okay. As Sri Satyabhat Muni was offering prayers to Sri Damodar Krishna, he considered, in order to please Sri Damodar Krishna, can you all hear me sufficiently?
Yes.
In order to please Sri Damodar Krishna, I must first please his associates, and especially his most beloved. Do you think if we closed the windows, we would be too hot? Because my voice isn't so loud today. You can... But you're going to need a fan on, perhaps? I don't know. Yeah, your fan. That one. But if it starts making a lot of noise, turn it off. In order to please Sri Damodar Krishna, I must first please his associates. We talked yesterday, the three objects that are mentioned in this verse is the rope, the belly, and the associates. Three objects, rope, belly, and associates, okay? In order to please Sri Damodar Krishna, I must first please his associates, and especially his most beloved Srimati Radhika. If I please her, I will easily attain the mercy of Sri Damodar Krishna. With this consideration in mind, the sage proceeded to offer his respects to Srimati Radhika with the words Namo Radhikaya Tvadiyaya Priyaya. In the fifth verse, in the course of Sri Satyabhat Muni's prayer,
we notice an escalation in his mood of deep longing. It's not greed unless it's escalating, is it? It's like love is a dynamic, it's a verb, it has to be moving. So this greed also has to be, there has to be a current to it. The escalation of this mood culminates in this verse, in which he prays to Srimati Radhika with wholehearted devotion for the perfection of his cherished goal. You see, his goal, we're watching his goal increase and develop, increase and develop. This is progress in bhajan. We come first of all in the very early days to coming to this path of Mahaprabhu with the desire perhaps for liberation from the suffering of the material world. That's why we come, isn't it? Who comes for anything else? Unless you're born in a family of Vaishnavas and you've heard about Krishna from birth, but most, certainly in the West, we come to be relieved of our material distress. And then that relief gets purified, and all we want to do then is we hear about devotion. Devotional service will please Krishna. So then we start to perform devotional service to please Krishna. And then we described before, there are 3 stages. There's Bhagavat Prapti Abhilas, that's pleasing Krishna. Then the next stage, Anukul Abhilas, pleasing Krishna favorably. Then the next stage, Surit Abhilas, pleasing Krishna as a friend. Bang, bang. So your consciousness gets fine-tuned, right? As you go through. You leave the previous conceptions and you come to a higher conception. Then you have the sense, yes, I'm making some type of progress. You understand what I'm saying? Is it clear? When we feel that sense of movement, that gives us encouragement, doesn't it? When you feel, yes, I'm making some headway here. There must be some progress here. You know, if I'm not making some, I can become hopeless. You know, my Gurudev used to say all the time, don't become hopeless. Because many devotees, they suffer from this dark side of hopelessness. We must have this ashabandha, this strong hope, which prays with wholehearted devotion for perfection of his cherished goal. Following his example, the Raganuga sadhak, after determining his cherished goal, should engage his time in praying, remembering, and worshipping Sri Bhagavan, along with those associates of his who have the same sort of love for Sri Krishna as he longs to attain. Swajatiya Snigdha Ashraya. We've talked about this. Association. Therefore, now my Gurudev is starting to give the principal mantras that need to be appreciated for the step-by-step process of bhajan directly. This is what Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj is giving here now. He's giving us the roadmap for bhajan in this final part of his commentary. We've built to this now. Okay. Therefore, it is stated in the scriptures, Krishnam
smaram janam chasya preshtam nija samihitam tattat katharataschaso kuryad vasham braje sada.
This is from Bhakti Rasamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami 1-294. The devotee should constantly remember Sri Krishna along with Sri Krishna's dearmost associates, whom he chooses to follow. While permanently living in Braj, he should become attached to always hearing the narrations of their pastimes with Sri Krishna. Rupa Goswami says this repeatedly. And just coming in the mind ultimately is not sufficient. The feet will follow the mind. If the mind is really here, then the feet will follow. So don't think, oh, I'll just sit in London or New York or somewhere and, you know, be in Braj. If you're really in Braj, your feet will follow you easily. The methodology of Raganuga Bhakti is as follows. The devotee should remember his beloved, worshipful Lord, the youthful Nandanandan Sri Krishna, and the Lord's dear associates, such as Sri Rupa Manjari and other associates, who possess the mood that the devotee aspires for. Absorbed in hearing about their pastimes with Sri Krishna, he should reside forever in the cowherd settlement of Sri Nanda, including Sri Vrindavan, Sri Govardhan, Sri Radha Kund, and so on,
which are saturated with the particular humours of those pastimes. You see the distinction when you come to Radhakund, for example, even from Vrindavan, which is so high consciousness place, there's a shift in consciousness when you actually come to Radhakund. I always notice it. And if you go to Govardhan, it goes down a couple of degrees. In Govardhan, it's a certain degree, and you come to Radhakund, it increases. You can see it tangibly. There's a little bridge that you cross over when you come from Chatikar. You go through Ral village, and then you got Basant is the last village, and you cross a canal, and you can see the water tanks of Radhakund. And if you're aware, if you're thinking, you can immediately see your consciousness go whoop. It's tangible. The increase purity of these dhams. It's very encouraging and appreciating and faith inspiring to be aware of that. It shifts. It's not mundane in any way. Absorbed in hearing about the pastimes, particular humours of those pastimes. Yes, but the particular humours. So the pastimes here in Radhakund are so confidential and special, so potent. These pastime places of Sri Krishna are enriched with the Brijvasi's love, especially Sringara Ras, conjugal love. We usually call the intimate pastime rasa Sringara Ras. Madhurya is more general. All of Braj, like you have Sakya Ras in Madhurya, you have Dasya Ras in Madhurya. You don't have Shanta Ras in Madhurya. Shanta Ras is neutral. And you have Vatsalya Ras in Madhurya. But when we're talking about the gopis, for example, directly Shri Radhika, we call it Sringara Ras. This is more explicit, the Sringara Ras. Moreover, they act as stimulus to invoke the sadhak's emotions in his own specific mood, rasa udipak. We've said many times that we have to appreciate our own distinct, unique, special qualities, which no one in existence has the same as we have. No one. Not try and make it into a group thing. It's not a group thing. Actually, we can have a sangha for our support, for our achan, our external practice, but ultimately it's got to be alone, just like the gopis ran alone to pacify Krishna's calm. That's the ultimate. We're not with it. We're not holding mummy's hand, at the time of leaving the body or something. You're alone. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada talks about that in the first canto. It's a one-seater plane. There's no one else there with you. So we have to cultivate that solitary awareness of that sanctuary in our own hearts. It's individual. Just look at all the people here. Is there anyone here who's the same? I'm looking at you all, and you're just all so unique people, all of you, completely individual. How can we think that this is all like some institution or something? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, if you try to institutionalize bhakti, bhakti cannot fly, she cannot flourish. Her wings have to be clipped in an institutional environment, which is sometimes necessary for the mission, etc. Where were we? So emotions, and prompt his remembrance of Sri Krishna's pastimes, Leela Udipak. Therefore, it is prescribed that, if possible, one should physically reside in places such as Sri Vrindavan within the area of Nanda's Braj. But if it is not possible for him to reside there physically, he should always reside there by mind. So at least that. But that takes cultivation. That just doesn't drop off the tree. It takes focus. You need to bring your consciousness daily to Braj. That's why being here during Kartik can create such a sanskar in the consciousness, because it's so powerful, impressions. At this time, because the atmosphere is so surcharged. There's nothing between the divine truth and what's able to be accepted in the heart. It just rocket in the month of Kartik in particular.
सेवा साधकरूपेण
Siddharupena
सिद्धरूपेण चात्रहि
Tadbhavlipsuna Karya Brajalokanashrata. Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-2-295. Again, Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami is the principal personality guiding. He's the one who is most dear. Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajavi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Paruveka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Svabilasa Rupe. He's the most dear to Sri Radhika, most dear to Sachinandan Gaura Hari, most dear to Swarab Damodar. What truths doesn't he have? He is the origin of our whole Guru Varg. He's the coming from the potency of Srimati Radhika, just pouring down this Rupanuga Guru Varg. Desiring to obtain their particular bhav, he should closely follow in the footsteps of a particular associate in Braj. Under their guidance, he should engage in service both with his external form as a sadhak and internally with his perfected spiritual body. So this can be unpacked for a long time, but we're just going to move forward. The devotee should mentally serve Sri Krishna, Manasi Seva, in the way that he most cherishes in his internally conceived, perfected spiritual body, Sita Rup. We have to have an idea of our identity to some degree, but don't make it with your imagination. Wait for Gurudev's inspiration to give you that focus on what is your ultimate siddhadeya. He will, if you are wanting that. If you want to fulfill his desire, my Gurudev has told all his shishyas to be a palyadasi of Srimati Radhika. So this is what we are always thinking about, and in the female form. So we're meditating, that's becoming spiritually conceived of in our practice. It's a stretch. If I'm in a male body, how am I going to reorientate that? But then we should understand that there is no gender in the spiritual realm except female. There's only one Purush. That's Sri Krishna. Everyone else has that feminine mood of service. Not in the physical form, but in the mood of service, in the bhajan mood. Siddharup, which is perfectly suited for rendering such service. So what is the best form for such service to please Krishna? Is that of a gopi, a brajabasi. He should perform such manasi seva under the guidance and direction of the Sakhis, such as Lalita and Vishaka, and of the Manjaris, like Sri Rupa Manjari, with his physical body in which he performs sadhan, sadhak rup. He should serve in the footsteps of Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, and other Goswamis in their line. This is all we hear about. We just hear about the teachings of Rupa, Sanatana, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. We're hearing about them all the time. How are they acting? How are they behaving? Can you turn this on? Sri Satyabrat Muni realizes that Sri Bhagavan has never allowed himself to be bound in any of his other incarnations. He's never submitted to that. Even Sri Baladev Prabhu, despite living in Braj, where he is always absorbed in natural, human-like pastimes, he never allowed himself to be bound. Yet the Lord of all lords, Brajendranandan Sri Krishna, the son of Sri Nanda and Yashoda, was bound with the rope of his mother's affection, but Salya praying for him. Therefore, that rope is not an ordinary piece of string. Rather, it is the direct embodiment of Sri Yashoda's maternal affection. Eager to fulfill his cherished desire, or to become as fortunate as the rope, the sage begins the verse by first praying to that rope. Namaste Studamne. Studamne, this means rope. The sage says, Tvadiya Yurayata, Vishvasya Dane, which indicates that Sri Krishna's belly is boundless, endless, fathomless, and indivisible. It has no limit, neither above nor below, so no one can bind it. We talked about this yesterday. We have no experience of something that is totally unlimited. We've never, because we're bound by conditioned consciousness. It's all like crunched in, boxed in. That's what we're trying to purify our way out of. We want to break out of that boundary of conditioned life. And we can do this by, first of all, accepting this mood of achintya, the inconceivable. It's beyond the imagination, heavy with wonder and shining in the heart with pure love, it's described. Beyond the imagination. Don't try and conception, beyond the imagination. So it has to come down, this avaroha panta. All our knowledge is descending. Ava, like avatar. Avatar means descend. This knowledge descends. We don't climb up steps. That's aroha panta. It's avaroha. It's descending. When the head is bowed, the potency can land on the back of the neck, so to speak, of the sadhak. But if you're looking up like this, with pride, nothing will happen. It's got to be. That's why this Trinadapi Sunichena is so essential. That only with that quality can you cut the subtle binding to this world, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Understand this when leaving the body. Because what happens when you leave the body? The subtle body is still there, mind, intelligence, false ego. And that has to be purified, cut, to go higher. Subtle is still material. It's not spiritual. They call it astral or something. It's all material. It's all temporary. That has to be purified and cut. It's not just giving up the material desires, but giving up the subtle desires, the desires for any type of pleasure. And we discussed that big enemy, the biggest enemy, remember?
The lust.
Lust. Karma esha, krodha esha, rajaguna samutpaha. Mahashano mahapapma. What is it? Vidi enam iha varyam. This varyam, this enemy. This is the greatest enemy, to be attracted to something in this material world. The spirit soul cannot enjoy matter. He can't enjoy matter. The spirit soul is hungry to enjoy and is looking for something in this material world to enjoy. I was saying yesterday about this example in the Matrix video they made a long time ago. It's a similar analogy completely. They're trying to enjoy something that they know is illusory. And it's impossible. The soul can't enjoy matter. The soul can only enjoy transcendence. That's why we're always peaceful when we're sitting hearing Harikatha about transcendental subject matters. The soul becomes happy. The soul becomes restful. Yes, this is what I want. This is what I want to hear. So we should always try and hear the Leela pastimes, like this one. Once when Sri Krishna was drinking his mother's breast milk, he yawned and showed her the countless universes present within his mouth. On another occasion, he ate some dirt while playing with his friends. After they complained to his mother whether or not he had actually eaten any, when she looked inside his mouth, she saw countless universes and began to wonder, am I asleep or awake? Perhaps some illusion has overwhelmed me. She then bathed Krishna with cow dung and cow urine in order to ward off any evil spirits. She called for brahmanas to recite special mantras in order to protect her child. She didn't believe that a minute, not for a half breath, you can turn that off now, half breath, that Krishna was the Supreme God, Supreme Lord. Her motherly affection overflowed that image of Aishwarya that Krishna was showing to her. This is why this example is given. Her motherly affection was more powerful than seeing that impression of billions of universes in his mouth. She called for brahmanas to recite special mantras in order to protect her child. She also gave in charity to everyone so he would live a long, healthy life. Just see the Brijbasis give in charity so that Krishna will be blessed with a long and healthy life. Yet Sri Krishna is he who blesses all the inhabitants of the three worlds. They perform so many rituals with vows and fervent prayers for his protection. Such are the sweet, intimate pastimes of Braj. It is this intimacy that controls Sri Krishna. This is the quality of Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, everyone is trying to support and nourish Krishna. In Dwarka, they are all taking support and nourishment from Krishna, right? They're all thinking he's the Supreme Lord. He's the Paramatma. He's the resplendent king. He's the great Aishwarya personality. He should give us. But in Braj, it's totally the other way around, completely. We are trying to support. Do we need to open the windows again? Because I think that kirtan stopped. If you think, you do what you, because some of you looking a little warm. You're okay? However you are. Sri Krishna's belly is the shelter of all the universes full of moving and non-moving entities. It is therefore not possible to bind his belly. Yet although it is boundless, it became limited because of his bhakta vatsalya, and he was bound because of his love for his devotees. It's about Krishna's love. We're hearing about the Brijbasi's love, but there's also Krishna's love we're considering. Therefore, Sri Satyavrat Muni says, I offer my obeisances to your glorious belly. Near the very end of his Astaka, the sage pays his obeisances to Sri Radhika. Namo Radhikaya, Tvadiya Priyaya. Who is Srimati Radhika? It is said,
Krishna vanche purti rupa kare aradhane atayeva radhika nama purane vakhane.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 4:87. We have to always read this, Adi Leela 4. Because she worships Sri Krishna by fulfilling all his desires, she has been called Radhika in all the Puranas.
Radha Krishna eka atma duyi deha dhari anyonya vilasa rasa aswadana kari.
This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 4:56. Sri Radha and Krishna are one soul, but they have manifested two forms just to relish each other's love by performing various sweet pastimes. Sri Pramodananda Saraswati glorifies Sri Radha as follows. Yasya kadapi vasanam chalakala nota taina jitanya palamena kritadhamani yogindram durgamagatir madhusudanopi tasya namostu brishabhana bhavoti shekhi. Sri Radha Rasa Sudha Nidhi 2. I offer my obeisances to even the direction facing the daughter of Brishabhana Maharaj, Sri Radhika. She completely captivates the heart of Madhusudan Sri Krishna, the performer of honey-like pastimes, whom the greatest yogis rarely attain. When a gentle gust of wind playfully touches her cloth and carries its sweet fragrance towards Krishna and touches his body, he embraces it to his heart and feels that his life has become blessedly fulfilled. He also prays, Venum karanam natitam skalitam shikandam prastam chakita vasanam rajarajasuna yasya kadaksha saragartava murchitasya tam radhikam paricharami kada prasena. Another Radha Rasa Sudha Nidhi by Pramodananda Saraswati. When the heart of Sri Brajaraja's son, Sri Krishna, is pierced by the arrows of Srimati Radhika's sidelong glance, he drops his flute, his peacock feather falls from his turban, and his upper cloth becomes disheveled, and he begins to faint. Oh, when will I render her loving service to that saturated, oh, when will I render her loving service that is saturated with rasa? These are the final inspirations in the whole Damodarastakam, these verses. These verses, we should make our regular bhajan of these verses, be reciting these verses, hearing these verses, remembering the meanings of these verses. We should have lists of these verses so we can taste them daily. And then we'll develop that mood within us. Okay. Anaya Radhito Noon. Are we up to there yet? No. Sri Bhagavan 10:30-28. It is described that while the gopis were anxiously searching for Sri Krishna, they saw a young lady's footprints next to his and exclaimed, Anaya Radhito Nunam Bhagavan Hari Ishvare Yanno Vihaya Govinda Prito Yam Anayadraha. Surely this gopi, Srimati Radhika, has truly worshipped Aradhito Bhagavan Sri Hari, the supreme autocrat. Otherwise, why has Govinda left us all and only taken her with him?
This is the band of like mad women searching for Krishna. They find his footprints. And who is this other gopi with Krishna? He's 300 billion gopis he's abandoned. Who is this one who's with Krishna? The one who has this aradhito, this highest worship of Krishna. Krishna's direct Swarup Shakti. Shri Radha is Shri Krishna's eternal beloved. Did I read the translation? Yes. Shri Radha is Shri Krishna's eternal beloved. Shri Sanatana Goswami confirms this in his commentary by saying, even without considering her worship of you, she is eternally your dearmost beloved, Nitya Priya. Consequently, Shri Radha is dear to all. Shri Raghunath Das Goswami displays his firm dedication to Shri Radha in Manashiksha 9.
Nadhatve vraja vipina chandram vraja vaneshwarim tam nadhatve tadatutula sakhitve tulahitam vishakam vitarana gurutve priya saro girindro tat preksha lalita ratidatve smarmanaha.
Thank you. That's a long one. O mind, always regard Rajavipina Chandra, Sri Krishna, to be the life and soul of my worshipful goddess, Sri Radha. You see, from that side, we're worshipping Radha, and Krishna is the one who Radha is attracted to, but my worship is to Radha. Sri Radhika, the queen of Vrindavan. Meditate on her as my worshipful goddess, and consider Sri Lalita to be her peerless friend. Respect Sri Vishaka as my instructor in serving the divine couple, and regard Sri Radha Kund and Giriraj Govardhan to be those who grant darshan of Sri Radha and Krishna and bestow sublime attachment to their lotus feet. So Giriraj will grant us darshan, Radha Kund will grant us darshan. Here Sri Das Goswami's inner feeling is, my most worshipful goddess is Sri Radhika alone, and Sri Krishna is the beloved of her life. My relation with Sri Krishna and my love for him is based on my relationship with Sri Radhika. This is very important. I'm going to read it again. Listen carefully. Pin your ears back. Here, Sri Das Goswami's inner feeling is, my most worshipful goddess is Sri Radhika alone. All right? And Sri Krishna is the beloved of her life. Sri Krishna is second. My relation with Sri Krishna and my love for him is based on my relationship with Sri Radhika. Very important. Underline it in your books. Sri Krishna's unlimited, intimate pastimes with Sri Radhika are especially difficult to describe. For this reason, Sri Satyabrat Muni uses the words Namo Nanta Lilaya in order to offer his obeisances to the quintessence of all Sri Krishna's unlimited pastimes, Ras Lila. Sri Jiva Goswami writes, sporting in the water, feeding each other, roaming about in the forest, drinking honey liquor, and dancing are all included in Ras Lila. Moreover, by saying Namo Nanta Lilaya, Sri Satyabrat Muni is offering his obeisances to the performer of Ananta Lila, or to he whose pastimes have no end, Sri Krishna, unlimited. Nothing but the mercy of the associates of Sri Radhika and Sri Krishna can fulfill our longing. We all have this natural hunger to serve Krishna, be with Krishna. It's a natural part of the self is to serve Krishna. It's our nature. to serve Krishna. If we're not serving Krishna, there's a void there, there's an emptiness there. And we foolishly try to fill that emptiness with material things. But it's the spiritual juice that is going to satisfy, nothing else. Nothing else. And we don't have that sufficient faith, so we keep running looking for the material, thinking that, oh yes, I can't quite believe that because I haven't experienced it yet. But if we don't try the process sufficiently seriously enough, we're not going to get a taste. We're not going to get the higher taste. We have to have this dedication, this commitment. Has to be there. Even if Sri Krishna wanted to give us prem, he could only give us the prem that resides within our own heart. Right? Get that? The prem in your own heart is the prem that's going to come out. You've already got prakatam priti sadyate. You've already got, Rupa Goswami says, that prem is already a dormant part of the seed, like a seed of a tree. You can have a very small seed, but it has the potential to become a huge mango tree within that little tiny seed. So within that heart, we have that potentiality for Braja Prem. We have that. It's there. But it has to be watered. It has to be cultivated. It's not just going to sprout by itself. We have to become dedicated. I think this is what Kartik gives for us, because it's a long 30 days. Gopurnim is easy, 5 days, push over. But Kartik, 30 days. It's a slog sometimes. Huh?
Not long enough.
Not long enough. She's fired up. She's fired up. Very good. The idea, the objective is to carry it through, to make the impressions now and to maintain them for the next 4 or 5 or 6 months at least, until the next injection comes. Then we have Gopurnim, and then again Kartik, and the cycle goes like that in our lives every year. 2 injections. So valuable, this Kartik. Resides within his own heart, which is Vishaya Jatiya Prem, or the type of love that is felt by he who is the object of everyone's devotion. But our aim is to attain the prem that the gopis have, which is Ashraya Jatiya Prem, or the type of love for Sri Krishna that is felt by the devotees, especially for those of us following the Rupa Nuga line. Only Sri Rupa Manjari and other Manjaris, the maidservants of Srimati Radhika, can make her deepest hopes come true, because they know the perfect art of serving Radha and Krishna. My Gurudev is being very summarizing here. He's opened it out in the previous pages in a very full blossomed way, but now he's putting it in more or less strong sutras right at the end. So our final prayer, Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Manasya Kapi. Sri Vishakanananda Vida Stotram. I worship Srimati Radhika, who has lotus petal eyes. That means her eyes, they stretch right to her ears. They're so large. So much is going on in there. Krishna gets lost in there. These eyes of Radhika. I remember Srimati Radhika, whose face is sweetly smiling. When we look at Radha Kund, do you see Radhika's smiling face? She's always there smiling. Her waves, if you look every single day, the waves on the surface are always a little bit different. Always a little bit. They're never the same. She's filled with astonishing expressions. You know, excited by her beloved Shyam right next to her. It's nice to associate for some time in our lives with Radha and Shyam in Radhakund. Sweetly smiling, and I speak of her whose heart is melting with compassion. My life has no other purpose than serving her. Thus ends the Digdarshani Vritti of the 8th verse and Samapati. So Srila Bhakti, Vedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Now, I want to make a request to all of you. There is the most beautiful summary of the whole pastime now in the appendix. It's called the Yamo Arjun Mochanam on page 173. And I was hoping that I would have time in our Kartik Brat to actually read this with everyone. But we just got so immersed in glorifying different personalities and so on, we didn't have the extra time. But for your homework before next Kartik begins, you can all immerse yourself. If you have got any pleasure from this Damodarastakam, you can now read this Jiva Goswami's from Gopal Champu, the beautiful pastime of Damodarastakam. It's really, really beautiful. It goes through from the very beginning of the pastime and scrolls right through to the end. But you go through it now with all the tattvas behind that we've already discussed. So you'll go so much more deeply into it. So it's a great opportunity to carry the mood forward in the next few days or weeks, whatever. But it would be a tragedy for you all if you omit the final reading here, this appendix. Maybe I can make an audio of it or something at some point. But you would all be really nourished by it, for sure, no doubt. Shri Damodarastakam ki jai. Shri Satyabrat Muni ki jai. Shri Narad Rishi ki jai. Sonika Rishi ki jai. Kartik Brat ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Sham ki jai. Go Premanande. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Go Premanande. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Sham. Jai Jai Kartik Brat ki jai. Jai Shri Pramoda Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vaishnavas ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Jai Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha. Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha. Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavena Monmaha. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.